Now, we've been talking a lot about CS2 investing, specifically when it comes to the overall market cap and the crash we saw. We saw about a market cap of $5 billion, unfortunately then dropped down to about 4.5. Now, roughly, we're sitting at 4.6. So definitely a little bit of a recovery, but nothing close to what we were seeing beforehand in the prices. And if we want to check that out, that really makes sense. A lot of people have been talking about this major crash we've seen all over the board, but that's not really indicative of what we're seeing inside of the investing scene. Now, obviously, we want to talk about these high tier items. A lot of them have dropped down a little bit in price, but if we want to look at the 30 days and the 60 days for almost every single one of these items, they are up rather significantly. There's very few that are down, and they're down maybe 1 or 2%. Everything inside of this area has pumped significantly, and these are majority very expensive items, which are not usually too connected to what we're doing inside of the investing scene. Obviously, you may have some of these items, but they're usually not the greatest for getting a strong return. Therefore, we're probably not going to be holding a large amount of value inside of this area. However, with all that being said, it really comes back to the question of what we're seeing right now, and how is it possible that items are theoretically crashing, and yet we're still seeing all-time high prices all across the board, not just this area, but what we're going to talk about next as well. Skinland is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free $10 on your first trade. It's where I personally sell my skins because you're going to be getting the highest rate out there. They're offering a maximum amount of money in a minimum amount of time, and it's going to be nearly instant with tons of different payout options. Combine that with their massive marketplace where you're going to be able to buy anything in the entire game you're looking for with a ton of different deposit options here as well. Right now, this is the #1 place to go ahead and sell or buy skins in my personal opinion, so go ahead, use code MasterShiny and check them out today. Now, there are some very important things to point out. First up, the rare items that we were talking about previously that are extremely expensive are not crashing to all-time high prices. Instead, it's the case market that's doing exactly that. Talking about some of our cheaper rare cases, we are seeing nearly all-time peak prices right now, which is absolutely insane. I'm talking about an all-time average price, which is what we're seeing for these extremely high prices all across the board. But for some of these rare cases, we're seeing all-time peak prices, which is absolutely insane because that's not something we should really be seeing at all right now. And yet it's still happening when we're talking about everything, and that's because of the fundamentals on these cases. The unboxing numbers are absolutely insane, and it's not just like it's one or two of these cases. Everything all across the board when we're talking about the case market is the area to be in right now for investing. These things are going absolutely insane, and if we want to look at some of the extra fundamentals we always throw in, we can see exactly why. We're seeing very little cases coming in because even though the player count is strong, it's not strong enough because these are only making up 1% of the drop pool, and there's tons of them in there. These cases are going down in supply significantly quicker than we can go ahead and get them back, and therefore that creates a huge opportunity of what we're seeing right now. These prices have been absolutely exploding for a while, and I definitely think, honestly, there's not anything that's going to be really stopping this moving forward. It's not going to be exploding every single day overnight, but we're going to be seeing a lot of growth coming from this area, specifically for these rare cases. Now, unfortunately, not every single case is crashing to an all-time high, but there's been a lot of really positive growth inside of this area. Specifically looking at something like the Spectrum 2 case, we can see, obviously, we saw that massive peak, and then we saw a collapse afterwards, but we're already seeing a pretty strong period of growth afterwards, especially in the past week or so, which is a really good opportunity to show that the rare case market is not just limited inside of one area or another. If you want to look at any 6-month view of all of these cases, they are on an insane trajectory, and it's very important to realize that these older cases have really started to play an active position when we're talking about investments. Usually they were a little bit older, a little bit out of the game. They've really come back. They've really shown that people are willing to pay a premium for these cases. I mean, we're looking at $4 or $5 a piece, which is the craziest price point I think anyone can imagine for some of these older rare cases, which is a huge opportunity as well. If you got some of these, potentially selling them off, getting into a younger investment used to be the play. Now we don't really know anymore because they've definitely shown they have a lot of potential with them. Now, we've talked about it a little bit, but it's very important to remember that we do have a major coming up. The Austin Major is starting less than 2 weeks from today, and the most important thing is going to be obviously that sticker and the investments that potentially come with it. Now, in recent times, investments for the sticker CS2 Major market has not really been there. Let's be completely honest. Paris, Copenhagen, Shanghai, everything inside of this area has really been a flop, and it's definitely no question as to why. It's coming down to the stickers. These are borderless stickers that no one is really interested in. There is an opportunity investing into the new teams for Austin. It could be if they're borderless, bordered. We don't really know. We're going to have to wait and see until the stickers come out, but it's a potential opportunity, but don't get your hopes up too crazy, and especially realize majority of these major investments in the past year or so have gone down significantly, so this is a very risky area. Now, one area that's been doing insanely well that's not really associated with this at all is going to be the filler skins market. Now, we've talked a lot about the filler skins market, and specifically that Train Light Blue collection that was removed just around a month or 2 months ago, but it's been very interesting to see the implications of what that's really been doing for this area. Obviously, we saw that they had a huge price spike once removed. They've actually had a really strong month, and a really strong month. We're seeing 15 to 20% growth all across the board for these skins, which is really crazy when you consider that they shot up in price, they didn't really have a crash down, and they've just been consistently gaining. I think it's a huge opportunity. We've talked about it time and time again. This is a very limited market because there's no more skins coming in for these light blues, and it's the only option you have for a filler skin that's going to be the best possible option inside this area. It could be a very good opportunity to look into, potentially snipe some of these at a little bit of a lower price point if you're looking to get in the filler skins market, if you're looking to get in something that's a solid investment. And it's not really everything of the hype right now. It's definitely toned down a little bit, and yet it still had a very solid performance. Now, talking about everything to do with our armory, it is getting very interesting. First up, the fever case has rose significantly over the past couple of days, up potentially 15% to around $1.20 on average, which is a crazy price point. But even more so, if you want to look at the armory ROI, the XM1014 is currently boasting 154%, which is crazy, but it's not alone. We were talking about it. There's 5 other profitable outcomes right now. Elemental craft stickers, 140% ROI. We talk about these stickers all the time. They are a fantastic opportunity once they get removed, and right now they are sitting along the character craft stickers as one of the best ways to put your money for your stars in. That's absolutely insane. The charms are both profitable as well. Things have really shifted for the armory. I don't know what happened overnight, but the ROIs have just exploded all across the board, significantly higher than what we were seeing previously. Now, obviously, we're still not making any investment, but this is really interesting to see. Now, talking about what exactly is going to be next for CS2 investing, first up, we got the Austin Major. I think we're probably going to be seeing the next piece of content dropping alongside all of the things that are going to be coming for the Austin Major. Unfortunately, an operation doesn't seem too likely right now. Obviously, if we want to talk about the armory and everything like that, we just talked about the amount of revenue it's grossed at 125 million. I find it extremely unlikely we're going to be seeing any drastic changes to that anytime soon. Things are obviously going extremely well. They are extremely profitable. Now, some other things on the horizon, we do have the summer sale coming up in just around a month. I do want to make it very clear, the summer sale is not what it used to be. However, there is the possibility that it could play an impact here. Depending on what items you're looking for, it could be a good opportunity, so keep on the lookout for that. And the one most important I want to dive a little bit deeper into is going to be a brand new case. Now, it's actually been a while since we got a brand new case that went into the drop pool. We're talking about a year and 3 months as of today. We've gotten 2 cases since then. We've gotten the Gallery and the Fever, both of which are in the Armory, and therefore our active drop pool made up of these 5 cases right here has stayed consistent for a while. It's actually been a very long time, which has kind of led these cases in a little bit of a state of limbo. Should you be investing into them? Should you be avoiding them in general? I would say personally, the only 2 that really stand potential investment opportunities are going to be the Recoil and the Fracture. The 2 oldest, they're the 2 least unboxed out of these 5, and therefore if any case is going to get removed, it's most likely going to be one of these 2. With that being said, I would definitely say look at the long term of these cases. They have ups, they have downs. If you want to get in on one of those downs, I think there is that opportunity. However, all cases right now have gotten extremely expensive, and that includes these active duty cases. I would definitely say it's a lot more of a risky investment than people realize when we're talking about these active duty cases, because the price can always go down. It's very important to remember that active duty cases are the ones that Valve's experimenting with. We see that Valve is running out of cases. They might increase the active duty drop rate, in which case these prices could plummet. We don't really know, but that's all I got with this. Have a great rest of your day.